do, guys? Your boy JangleX, and welcome back to another reaction of the Minecraft Iceberg Part 3, which I'm guessing is the final entry. So let's go ahead and check it out because this is going to be almost a 40-minute video. So lay back, enjoy. Let's go and check it out and grab a couple snacks here and there.
Well, here we are again, another
like
Minecraft Iceberg video. If you haven't seen my previous two Minecraft Iceberg videos, then check them out using the link below, or else the following might not make a whole lot of sense. The Minecraft Iceberg format has become so popular that people continue to release new icebergs. I'm aware of at least 3 or 4 that have come out since the last 2 videos, and as a result, I have a bunch more things to add. I should say that this video is most likely going to be the final Minecraft Iceberg video I do. Once we're done with this, we will have covered just about everything that could possibly go on an iceberg. With that being said, let's get started. I've created a new image which includes the things that I'm going to talk about that weren't in my previous videos.
But what happens, the iceberg keeps on continuing growing and growing and growing until it hits the center earth of the core. Has anybody thought about that? I don't think so. Oh, dang.
Once again, there aren't any jokes on this list. All of these entries have some element of truth. Join me for a deep dive beneath the waves.
Deep dive into the waves of the iceberg. Surface level tier 1.
End credits. Okay, this one is kind of the low-hanging fruit, and I'm sure many of you were surprised that it wasn't in the previous videos. The final stage of Minecraft is killing the Ender Dragon, which opens up a portal back to the overworld. When the player jumps in, the end credits roll. If you've done this before, you'll understand when I say that what follows is pretty bizarre.
What?
Before showing the names of the creators as would happen with a traditional credit sequence, there's a poem, often referred to as the end poem. The structure is a conversation between 2 characters, blue and green. They claim to be self-aware and that the player is reading their thoughts on the screen. Who are they? Humans have called them by many names: God, angels, aliens, leptons, quarks. Some of their words are not understandable and they show up as gibberish. These beings use the metaphor of the game of Minecraft being a dream, and they extend that metaphor into life being a dream. In some ways, perhaps, Minecraft is no less real than life itself. Whether on a molten rock of the earth or the infinite flat world of Minecraft, both are dreams. The player creates meaning in Minecraft. They can make whatever they want in the sandbox. Similarly, humans create their own meaning in the dream of the universe. The poem ends with a command: wake up. When I first read this back in 2012, I had no idea what was going on, and it felt very out of place. Why would a game like Minecraft, that does almost all of its storytelling through background elements in the world, have such a long section of pseudo-philosophical text? It really felt like something out of left field, and I'm not sure I read through it again after the first time. I think there are a few ways to look at this. First, you could try and understand the poem for what it is and the metaphor about creating meaning in a dream. I do think that what I said earlier is the point. Minecraft is not so different from real life. Another option would be to interpret the poem as an elaborate way of saying, stop playing the game and go do something in life, hence the wake up. At the very end, there's a famous quote about how future versions of yourself will be disappointed by what you didn't do. Maybe the message is that we shouldn't waste so much time playing games. So how should we decide the best way to interpret this? Examining the history of how the poem came to be will help. In 2011, Notch tweeted a call for a silly, over-the-top, out-of-nowhere text to be added to the end of the game. To me, this says that we shouldn't try to overanalyze how the end poem fits in with the rest of Minecraft. I think that it's there if you're willing to open yourself up to some philosophical ideas, but choosing to ignore it as I've usually done is also a valid option. Of course, there will be many people with many different ideas about this, so I don't claim that this is absolutely the correct way of looking at it.
I feel like they just put it in there just to mess with people.
Lightning and mobs. Lightning has several possible effects depending on the mob it strikes. The charged creeper is pretty well known. This variant has a much more powerful explosion which can cause other mobs to drop their head in Java version. However, there are different effects for different mobs. A struck pig turns into a zombified piglin, and a villager becomes a witch. It also turns mushrooms back and forth between red and brown variants. If it strikes a turtle, it dies and drops a bull. Maybe we shouldn't think about where that bull came from when we use it to make stew. Lightning also has the chance to spawn a skeleton trap, which looks like a skeleton horse. When the player approaches it, lightning strikes, causing it to split into a few skeleton horsemen. It's possible to ride this horse if you kill the skeleton on top. It's already tamed. Joke languages. There are several unconventional and joke languages in the language selection screen. There's an upside-down version of British English.
Oh, what
I'm a little surprised this wasn't called Australian English. There's also pirate speak. Join me on a lonely voyage for a game of swashbuckler with no lifeboats.
That sounds kinda
We'll make
cool.
a crafting table and mine some pebbles to craft a pickaxe or rock. Watch out for that molten rock. We need to get orders of steel and make a cutlass and peg leg. Let's go sailing with your best matey on an oaken vessel. Another one is Shakespearean English. Join me on a soliloquy in an extra hot state.
Oh, hell no.
And mine some cobble to cottle a stone spade.
That's crazy.
Our gunpowder casks shall clear the grainstone post haste. This alchemy table shall enable the creation of a potion or grounds forbearance. Alloweth us observe a music plate upon a music box and locate a mailed hauberk. There are even more options. Fling on Hull is the Klingon language from Star Trek, and Kenya is an Elvish language from Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, Elvish.
There are also a few constructed languages, including Lojban. English is a flavor of English with fewer borrowed words, and Esperanto was created in the late 1800s in order to foster world peace and international understanding. If that doesn't interest you, perhaps lolcat is more your style. I can has friends?
So dumb.
Reverse Easter eggs. In 2011, the April Fool's update added a naturally generated block called a locked chest. When the player tried to open it, they were informed that they needed a Steve Company supply crate key, which could apparently be purchased from the Minecraft store. This is a reference to Team Fortress 2, where the player could get an item called a Manco supply crate. Purchasing a key from the Manco store opened the crate. This is one of the early examples of a loot box in gaming. The cosmetic aspect is a huge part of Team Fortress 2, and these supply crates were one of the ways players could find items like hats. Interestingly, TF2 added a Minecraft Easter egg called Top Notch. It was only given to Notch, who is Minecraft's creator, and it makes the player wear a fedora and have Notch's avatar for a head. It's a nice little counter Easter egg. While we're on the subject, there's a hidden pickaxe in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim called the Notched Pickaxe. It's kind of ironic considering that Bethesda sued Notch for calling his new game Scrolls, although they eventually settled out of court.
In Skyrim.
Other games with Minecraft Easter eggs include Borderlands 2 and The Binding of Isaac. My personal favorite is from the Stanley Parable, which, if you haven't played it, is a tremendous game, although it's not for everyone. Zombie villages. There's a 1 in 50 chance that a village spawns as an abandoned village. This village is decrepit with broken blocks and cobwebs. All villagers that spawn here are zombie villagers. Glowing obsidian. I mentioned in the first episode that Minecraft Pocket Edition used to not have the nether. Instead, the player could activate a nether reactor, which would generate a structure and spawn pigmen and various items. The reactor itself would eventually become glowing obsidian, which had a dark red tint. If it wasn't mined, it would eventually turn into regular obsidian. Glowing obsidian was removed with the nether reactor. Mobs controlled by the moon. A few mobs are directly affected by the moon. Slimes can spawn underground in specific chunks called slime chunks, which constitute just 1/10 of all chunks. However, they also spawn above ground in swamp biomes. The phase of the moon determines the likelihood of them spawning. They spawn most often during a full moon and never during a new moon. As the moon becomes fuller, skeletons and zombies are more likely to spawn with weapons or armor. It also increases the potential enchantment level of their gear.
The moon actually does make
Spiders
a big
are also more
difference
likely to spawn with status effects, such as invisibility. Finally, during a full moon, half of all spawned cats or black.
Oh. Shadow Waters, Tier 2.
Minecraft crash log messages. When Minecraft crashes, a bunch of data is dumped to the crash log. This will usually be hidden from the user. However, if you dig into the files, you can read the dump. There are a bunch of possible witty comments about the crash, from the simplest oops and I feel sad now, to much more complex messages such as, hi, I'm Minecraft and I'm a crashaholic. Sometimes the game offers to make you feel better. This is a token for 1 free hug. Redeem at your nearest Mojangsta hug. And don't be sad, I'll do better next time, I promise. Perhaps this is a sign that Minecraft is becoming sentient, although quite honestly, I wouldn't worry myself about that. There may be other games that crash less often. The crash log even suggests one. You should try our sister game, Mince Raft. If you don't get that reference, check out the first video.
You crashed. Your PC had to probably to reset. Oh, man, collecting some errors info. Oh, sleep.
What I like about this Easter egg is that most people won't ever see it, especially since crashes aren't supposed to happen. But when it does occur, sometimes all you can say is, well, this is awkward. Hidden Nether Portal. The Legacy Console Edition of Minecraft comes with a tutorial world. There's a castle and several other interesting places to explore. There's also a giant Minecraft logo in the sky. If you travel up there, a hidden nether portal is deep inside. It's not that creepy, but it's a cool little detail. World border. The Farlands were removed from Java Edition after Beta 1.8. They were replaced by the world border and world boundary. The world border is a giant striped wall that the player cannot walk through. However, there are a few ways to get to the other side, the easiest being an ender pearl. But you won't get far. If you're playing survival, you'll take constant damage. There's also an invisible wall a few blocks outside of the border that cannot be passed without the use of hacks. And if you go far enough out, chunks just stop generating. Endermen in all 3 dimensions. There are a lot of strange things about the Endermen. They're arguably one of the most mysterious of all the mobs, as they're large and vaguely humanoid, although with crucial differences. They're one of the few mobs that can teleport naturally, the only other mob being the shulker. I'll mention this because I know someone's going to bring it up, but tamed animals can also teleport to the player. However, I don't see this as natural teleportation, rather it's a mechanic to make the game more playable. Endermen also hold the distinction of being the only mob that can spawn in all 3 dimensions. We can break this down pretty easily. It's obvious that the End is the home of the Endermen. I mean, just look around, it's all you see. And the dimension name is End for crying out loud. So we can assume that all Endermen come from the End. To get to the overworld, perhaps they were able to make a portal. The technology clearly exists in the End, although it seems that the Ender Dragon is guarding the exit. However, the fact that End ships have dragon heads imply that sometimes the dragon dies, and some of the Endermen leave for the overworld using the newly opened portal. The Nether is harder to explain. Although obsidian exists in the End, Endermen are incapable of picking it up. And it wouldn't matter anyways, because a Nether portal cannot be lit in the End. So the only path to the Nether is through the overworld. The ruined portals scattered about imply that at one point there were many connections back and forth, and the Endermen could have simply used these. Another possibility is that some Endermen can teleport across dimensions, although there's not really any evidence for this. Enderman sounds. While we're on the topic, the Endermen have some interesting sounds compared to other mobs. Many of their ambient noises sound remarkably similar to human language.
Hey. What's up?
Even villagers, which are another humanoid mod, don't have sounds like this. The implication is that Endermen are the most similar mob to the player. They're also the only mob that can build structures. The fact that they're neutral mobs that only attack if provoked also shows that they're more similar to humans than other overworld mobs. This is another one where MatPat has a pretty fully developed theory, although it disagrees with some of the stuff I suggested earlier. Namely, he thinks that Endermen started in the overworld as humans before escaping to the End and eventually evolving to their current form. It would take me more time than we have in this video for me to fully explain my counter theory. Maybe I'll make it a separate video if you guys are interested. Ghast sounds. Speaking of sounds, the ghast is another enemy with some unique noises. I mentioned in the last video how they have an unused affectionate sound. Check out the card above to learn about that.
They always look so sad.
The ghast sounds actually came from the cat of C418, who composed the music. In a Reddit AMA, he said that his cat has this interesting behavior of sounding very human if you disturb him while he's sleeping. It just so happens that a microphone was next to him when he complained. Listening from that perspective, the noises really do sound like a cat. Some people have theorized that the ghast itself has a secret cat connection, but I just don't see it. It doesn't seem like the real-life cat noises were recorded with lore in mind. Removed C418 tracks. The two main Minecraft soundtracks are Minecraft Volume Alpha, released in 2011, and Minecraft Volume Beta, released in 2013, both by C418. Nearly all the tracks in Minecraft come from these two albums. However, what's interesting is that there are some songs on the albums that do not exist in the game. In fact, there are quite a few of them, 15 across both albums by my count. It's a little strange if you think about it. Why call it a soundtrack if so many of the songs aren't even there? The explanation is pretty simple. C418 explains, I like to add more stuff to the songs that are in the game because I feel like players are probably not as interested in buying music that's already in the game. So, extending the album into a more cohesive piece that can be played on its own feels better than just taking all the sound files and slapping them onto an album. That makes sense to me, although it's a shame that some of these great songs didn't make it into Minecraft. The soundtrack albums have a few more strange things about them, though, but we'll get to those further down in the iceberg.
Alright, so
Notch drops an apple.
Notch drops.
If a player is named Notch, they will drop an apple upon death in addition to their inventory. Obviously, this would only happen in extremely rare situations, but we can look at the code to see that it would occur. There does exist video evidence. In early 2020, the speedrunner Dream did a collaboration with Notch himself. At the end, he is killed by a pigman and he clearly drops an apple next to his inventory.
He does. What the heck?
It's pretty cool that we have a recording of such an obscure Easter egg. I couldn't believe it at first, to be honest, but there it is.
Apples.
Sarge says, this one is pretty simple. At one point, instructing a command block to run the /help command would cause it to output various Easter egg messages. It would always start with Sarge says, followed by text such as YOLO, ask for help on Twitter, scoreboard deleted, commands blocked,
what the
/test for noob at player, and /deop at player. I'm not sure why they got rid of this one since no one would ever need to use command blocks to ask for help anyways. Might as well do something interesting with it. Basalt Delta's radioactivity. There's some ambiance files from the Basalt Delta's nether biome that sound very similar to a Geiger counter, which detects ionizing radiation. This implies that this biome is radioactive. Some real-world rock types are known to be naturally radioactive, such as granite. Basalt does have measurable radioactivity, but not at an abnormal level compared to other rock types. Still, the sound connection seems obvious. Perhaps magma cubes are irradiated slimes.
Oh. Radiation, tier 3, the depths.
Pigman blood. Before the Nether update, the Nether was full of zombie pigmen instead of zombified piglins. One of their distinctive features was green blood on the edges of their skin, exposing the skull and bones. However, this wasn't always the case. Initially, they had red blood, which makes them look quite a bit scarier in my opinion. Notch said that he changed the texture because he wanted Minecraft to be a game that's scary without blood. That's fair enough. One of the reasons the old texture was so shocking is because it felt out of place compared to the rest of the game. And Minecraft certainly has its scary moments.
Oh. And the man right behind you.
Old water physics.
Yeah, it does. Definitely have
this
some
one's
scary
not so much
parts
creepy
in
as it
Minecraft.
is strange. Nowadays, water has a limited reach. Even if you place a bucket on flat ground, it will eventually spread out and stop flowing. That wasn't the case in Alpha. Instead, water would fill whatever space it touched to the same level. This was sometimes referred to as tsunami physics because the water could easily dominate an entire area, all by accidentally releasing the floodgates. Water sources truly were infinite and far more destructive than lava ever could be. PETA Minecraft server. Okay, this entry is kind of off topic, but I found it interesting so I decided to include it. PETA, or People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, is an animal rights advocacy group that sometimes uses controversial tactics to get their message across. In 2014, they opened a Minecraft server as an animal utopia, where no animals, not even digital ones, could be harmed. They even created their own resource pack before it was simple to install in vanilla. I'll leave the judgment or lack thereof about PETA to the viewer, but I do find it humorous that they tried to use such a wholesome game as a platform for their message. I suppose it's better than some of their other attempts, like Pokemon
Pikachu.
Black and Blue, but I don't know. Something about the situation makes me laugh. Painting seed. Minecraft includes several different paintings that can be hung up in the world. Some of these are references to famous real-life paintings, some of them refer to other video games, and others are just standard still lifes and the like. Almost all of them were made in real life by the artist Christopher Zetterstrand, who transformed his paintings into the digital versions. One such painting is known as Burning Skull and includes a fiery skull in a nighttime Minecraft world. Amazingly, the seed for this world has been found, using some similar techniques to the pack.png hunt. That makes 3 seeds from in-game images that have been discovered. Pretty amazing. While we're talking about paintings, there are 4 unused paintings in Bedrock Edition. They're all 2x2 blocks and 32x32 pixels. Each shows an elemental image including earth, fire, water, and wind. There's really not a lot of information about these. We don't even know who the
last one
original
would be
artist
like,
is. Also,
on
why
the
not
right,
in Java? My best guess is that these were intended to be used in a Bedrock exclusive feature such as the Marketplace or the Skin Creator, but ultimately were never added. Obsidian Axis. Very old versions of Minecraft included obsidian walls that started at the origin and extended along the cardinal directions forever. They only existed for about 2 weeks. These were most likely debugging structures, similar to the glass towers that used to spawn above strongholds. Monoliths. Old World Generation had some strange artifacts that could be created. One such instance was the monolith, which was a huge chunk of land that was raised up to the height limit, like a plateau. underneath was a vast, hollow space that could sometimes be filled with water. They're pretty imposing when seen from a distance, and although it's not strictly realistic, I'd like to see them return as the tiny biome that sometimes spawns. I just love how cool they looked. Dirt slabs. Dirt slabs are exactly what they sound like. Half-height slabs with a dirt texture. They were mentioned once by Notch in 2009 with an accompanying screenshot. It didn't seem to work too well since the terrain looks very unnatural. I'm only mentioning this one because brushes were announced in the 1.17 update video.
Brushes?
These allow a player to remove layers of dirt from a block, resulting in what is essentially a dirt slab.
Wait, what?
10 years later, we finally have them. Kinda cool.
How the heck do you even make a brush?
Skis. In late 2012, data miners discovered a new texture in Minecraft called skis.png. This set off a flurry of speculation about whether this was going to be a new mode of transportation. Unfortunately, Dinnerbone confirmed that these were added as a red herring to troll people. Thanks, Dinnerbone. I was really looking forward to pulling off some sick jumps, but I guess that won't happen.
Man,
Fartherlands. In the first Iceberg video, I mentioned the Farlands, which were a bizarre terrain generation glitch that would occur far away from spawn in earlier Java versions of Minecraft. I alluded to it, but there's actually a Farlands of the Farlands called the Fartherlands. This occurs about 4 billion times further away than the Farlands. The terrain looks like a stretched out version of the Farlands. However, since this occurs past the block rendering limit, it can only be accessed through mods or modifying the noise scale. There are apparently some farthest lands, but it seems as though the differences are minor. Shrubs.
Got the shrubs.
In certain biomes, the players can find these dead bushes. When broken, they drop sticks, or the whole plant if shears are used. They're not super interesting. However, there's a bit of a strange quirk that happened during the updates. At one point, instead of dead bushes, there were shrubs. They look very similar, although they're a pixel shorter. There was also no way to pick it up without using commands, and it didn't even show up in the creative menu. For a while, both existed in the game until they were merged in 2017. It was weird. I remember wondering why was there this worthless block that was unobtainable and didn't even drop anything. It was just kind of there, I don't know. Mine shafts ignore ores. Abandoned mine shafts are a generated structure found deep underground. They include chests, railways, and structural supports. However, the strange thing is that there's still exposed ores on the walls. For whoever made the mine shafts, why wouldn't they mine them? Isn't that the whole point of a mine shaft? One theory states that mine shafts serve a different purpose, perhaps for transportation or even as an escape route from the overworld. Even that doesn't really make sense, as there's typically no connection to the surface. Honestly, this probably boils down to programming. It would be much more challenging to create a generated structure that dynamically modified the ore generation. Also, from a gameplay perspective, mine shafts would be much less interesting if there were no ores to be found.
Tier 4. The Fat Homes?
Minecraft China Appeasement. Minecraft has a version that's exclusive to China. It has to be downloaded from a different website than Mojang called mc.163.com. It can be downloaded for free as it's run by a company called NetEase. Unfortunately, you must live in mainland China in order to make an account, so I wasn't able to get into a game myself.
That sucks.
It's tough to find concrete information about this game, but there's some people who have videos uploaded. It seems to be a few versions behind the latest updates, and it has some unique features, with a different UI and friend support. China is famous for its censorship, and the Great Firewall blocks much of the outside internet from reaching China. This censorship extends to video games. The government also requires licenses for video games to be sold. This is one of the reasons that many games have separate Chinese versions. Some of this censorship extends to the Chinese Minecraft. Certain words are banned, turning into stars in the chat. These include typical curse words, but also political words, such as the president's name. I don't know for sure if this is server-side or client-side, but either way, even Minecraft is not free from Chinese censorship. Some people have also theorized that the reason that dolphins were not made rideable is to appease China. The Chinese river dolphin is a critically endangered species that garnered international attention from a campaign to raise awareness. There are so few of them that they were declared extinct until a few more were discovered. Perhaps Mojang was trying to avoid getting their game banned in China for encouraging messing with dolphins.
Damn.
A similar reason may be why sharks were never added, in order to discourage overfishing in real life. Cave Sound 14.
I always did wonder why would
I mentioned in the first video how there are many creepy noises that play when deep underground. The game refers to these as ambiance, and there's a big list of sounds it chooses from. One of these is Cave Sound 14. It sounds otherworldly, like a strange computer noise. We can look at the spectrogram in the same way that we did for Disc 11. The result is a creeper face hidden in the audio. I don't think this has any deeper meaning besides it being an Easter egg. Villagers were pigmen.
What?
Before villagers were implemented, they were apparently planned to be pigmen. Notch posted on Twitter that it was very likely that the townspeople would be pigmen. Of course, that didn't happen. They were eventually implemented as zombie pigmen.
You should make them as pigmens anyways. Have their own little villages and stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
Minecraft 4K.
I would have done it.
No, this isn't a high-resolution RTX Minecraft. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Minecraft 4K is a version developed by Notch in 2009 for the Java 4K contest. The goal was to write a game that was less than 4 kilobytes in size. It's obviously pretty limited with no UI and a small world. Still, it's playable and you can download it using an archive link in the description. It resembles very early versions of Minecraft, and it's pretty impressive if you ask me. Hell World.
The Hell World.
The two main world types are default and superflat. Java includes several more, such as amplified, large biomes, and single biome. Caves spawns the player deep underground with an impenetrable bedrock sky, and floating islands is the closest we've got to the sky dimension. Of course, there's also the debug world. Bedrock players might be surprised to hear about these world types, but there are even more in Java that have been removed. Specifically, InDev included a feature called the map theme, which would dramatically change how the world would generate. The most memorable of these was Hell, which replaced all water with lava. There were gameplay effects as well. Overall lighting was reduced, and mobs would spawn at any time. Other types included Paradise, where the sun never set, and Woods, where it was constantly overcast. On the opposite end of the spectrum, in Alpha there was a chance that a map could spawn in Winter mode, where it was constantly snowing and the water was frozen. This was removed with the addition of biomes, although it could be seen as Minecraft's very first biome. Netherrack is flesh. Netherrack is a Minecraft block that, unlike stone or wood, doesn't exist in real life. As a result, people have tried to figure out what it is exactly. We know that it gets mined much more quickly than stone, which implies that it's not as hard.
So it's actually
One
flesh?
theory is that Netherrack is flesh. The older texture had a section that looks a little bit like a face, and the colors would match up. However, that was removed with the texture change. Even so, one could still argue that it looks like flesh. Although Netherrack was initially called Bloodstone, I don't think there's a lot of evidence nowadays. First, it can be smelted, creating a nether brick. Flesh wouldn't react in this way. Also, Netherrack burns indefinitely, again, something flesh wouldn't do. I suppose this theory is possible, but I would need to see a really good piece of evidence to believe it.
Maybe one day, maybe somebody will figure that out.
Infiniminer was a game released back in 2009. It was a voxel-based multiplayer game where players could search for minerals in a procedurally generated map. Infiniminer suffered a major source code leak, exposing vulnerabilities to hackers. Afterwards, Notch began work on a new project. The very first we see of it is in a video called Cave Game Tech Test. The description reads, "This is a very early test of an Infiniminer clone I'm working on. It will have more research management and materials, if I ever get around to finishing it." Unfortunately, that game never amounted to much. There are, of course, theorists who claim that Notch leaked the source code and stole it for his own use. That doesn't really hold up, since Infiniminer was written in C# and Minecraft is in Java. Still, the inspiration is obvious, and it's corroborated by Notch himself. Monster under the bed. A bed allows a player to skip the night or a thunderstorm, awaking the next morning. However, if there happens to be an enemy nearby, the game reads, "You may not rest now, there are monsters nearby." Nowadays, once the player falls asleep, they are safe for the night. That wasn't always the case, however. In Beta 1.4, a player could sleep at any time. A sleeping player in an exposed area could suddenly be awoken in the middle of the night by a skeleton or zombie. This is akin to the monster under the bed. Once you go to sleep, it comes out to attack you.
That picture, though. Terrified of the depths. This is the last part, no? Oh, yeah, it is the last part.
A special seed. You're interested in starting a new game of Minecraft. You've heard about this mysterious seed, so you used it in the world generation. You spawn on an island in the ocean. Survival island, great. But there are no trees, so you start swimming until you find a small forest. You get some wood, make a crafting table, and make a boat, sailing to the mainland. After a while, you begin to build a house, and before you know it, you've completely forgotten that you used a special seed. The game continues as normal, and you enjoy yourself as you build a new world. And that's maybe the creepiest thing about the seed. Most people will never discover its secret. Most people will never realize that deep below the surface, something strange is happening. Even in creative, it's hard to see. But once we switch to spectator, the secret of this world is revealed. Deep beneath the surface, there's a bizarre system of repeating caves. The same patterns repeat over and over, forever. This is one of a series of seeds with this type of property. It was first discovered by a YouTube channel called Aleph as a seed with infinitely many repeated mineshafts. The reason for this has to do with how random number generation in Java works. It's not truly random, but rather pseudo-random, which means that numbers will eventually repeat themselves. This seed happens to accomplish that on the x-axis. There's also a seed which does this on the z-axis. Furthermore, there's a great one that works on the diagonal in the overworld, which is probably my favorite of the bunch.
Oh yeah.
A great video by Matthew Bowen explains how this works. There's a lot of depth with regards to the technical side of Minecraft, and seed hunting / exploitation is a huge part of that. 72 Dakwa accounts. NameMC is a database of Minecraft users. About a year ago, it was discovered that there were 72 accounts with the name Dakwa. This is obviously pretty bizarre. Minecraft usernames are unique, so multiple accounts can't have the same name, much less 72 of them. There were many theories as to what these were. Did 72 people make an account at the exact same time? Was the database showing deleted accounts? A plausible idea was that Dakwa stood for Developer Account Quality Assurance and that these were Mojang accounts. Up until very recently, that's what I had assumed. However, a comment on my channel led me to a video which offered evidence I hadn't seen before. As you may or may not know, initially, buying Minecraft gave the player a Minecraft account, and they would sign into the launcher using their username. However, in 2012, all new accounts became Mojang accounts, and the players could migrate their old Minecraft accounts to Mojang accounts. In 2018, Mojang accidentally deleted about 100 Minecraft accounts before they were migrated. This freed up the usernames for Mojang accounts. When the error was discovered, the deleted accounts were reinstated. However, some players had used the same usernames to make new Mojang accounts, resulting in duplicate account names. That's one of the reasons that some names have two different accounts. However, this mystery is referring to 72 duplicate accounts, all with the name Dakwa. A YouTuber called the Mr. Epic believes he has found the answer. He was in contact with the owner of Dakwa, who explained his process. If you spam the Minecraft account creation with a gift code, such as from a physical card, multiple accounts of the same name could be created. The owner of Dakwa claims that he was the one who did this to create the duplicate accounts. However, the exploit was patched and the duplicate accounts were then removed. Do I believe this? The Mr. Epic claims to have evidence, and it seems plausible enough to me. However, I'd like to talk to the owner of Dakwa to get some more information. If you're watching this, comment or send me an email. Let's get in contact. 10 to the Sea. 10 to the Sea was a game that Notch began developing as a successor to Minecraft. The premise was that astronauts in the 80s went to a spaceship to hibernate for a few years. However, due to a bug, the computer woke them up after 281 trillion years.
Whoa,
this is OX10C in hexadecimal, hence the name of the game.
Deep sleep.
The gameplay was going to have some very interesting ideas. The game was in first person and had some shooter elements. The ship had a 16-bit computer on board, and players could use it to write programs to control various elements of their ship. The game could also be played in multiplayer, and players could find others and fight or trade. Additionally, Notch hoped to eventually add planets that could be explored. Watching videos of the game, I start to get pretty excited. It's a really cool idea that I think has a lot of potential. Unfortunately, Notch paused development in 2013, citing a creative block. This was right around the time he sold Minecraft to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. A tweet by C418 confirmed 10 to the Sea's cancellation. My best guess is this has something to do with his depression from his sudden fame, which I talked about in the last video. He has several tweets that mention these struggles. Speaking of his tweets, Notch's tweets. Notch has tweeted some opinions that have been controversial. This includes topics such as gender relations, sexuality, and race, all topics that have had an increased amount of discussion in recent years. Notch has also voiced his support for a certain organization that shall remain nameless for now, since YouTube is demonetizing videos that so much as mention it. There are many people who have a negative view of Notch. Microsoft has sought to distance themselves, removing references to him from the splash screen and declining to invite him to Minecraft's 10th anniversary event. If you choose to look up more about this, you'll find a lot of vitriol from both sides. Don't say I didn't warn you. Droopy likes your face. Droopy Likes Your Face is another track from Minecraft Volume Alpha that is not included in the game. It starts out as a pretty normal song, but as it continues, strange vocal noises are heard in the background.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I can hear it definitely though. True polite, true polite, true polite. Kind of funky little beat though.
C418 gives us some more information on what this meant. According to a tweet, there's this droopy toy that spouts random sentences, makes for good samples. What he's referring to is the Droopy Dragon, a children's book from the 80s that came with a Texas Instrument magic wand speaking reader device. It's a barcode reader which can read words in the book aloud, as this video shows.
Goodbye. I am your magic wand reader. Come read with me.
Oh no.
People watched and were amazed.
No, I couldn't take the robotic voice like that.
Big truck, not a little truck.
C418 used these samples in the track. This is pretty obscure, and I'm not sure we would have figured it out
like literally
if it weren't for the
barcodes
song
you have
title
to
and its
scan.
helpful tweet. Air.ogg. I mentioned the Infinity update in the first video, which was an April Fool's update that allowed players to travel to infinite dimensions. Some of these dimensions were named and had specific generation rules. Players quickly identified 42 of these. However, it soon came to light that Bach, the creator of the snapshot, had actually coded 43 hidden dimensions. On a Discord chat, he gave out a few hints, including the fact that the name was not a single word. Then, he released a link to a mysterious sound file from his website called air.ogg. Take a listen.
Jedna, devět, 0, 3, 2.
The heck?
257. 257.
257.
257. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4,
It's
5.
some strange stuff, to be sure. If you pay attention long enough, you'll discover that there are various different tracks that eventually repeat themselves. One such track begins with the Minecraft music we know and love, followed by something that's a little bit less welcoming.
Oh yeah, the Minecraft. Oh. What the heck?
The community tried all sorts of similar techniques that had been performed on other sound files, including making a spectrogram, although this proved fruitless. The solution was something completely different altogether. Use the file as if it were an SSTV signal. I tried this for an hour and I was unable to do it. Although the audio is clearly SSTV, I could never get a clear image, so I'm taking their word here. If someone has the specifics of how this was done, let me know. The Discord user NecoFood was successful, however, and here's the image. This is a very long phrase that is hopefully not in any dictionary is the word phrase. Typing it in, we teleport to a world with a strange message. Hello. Only purpose of this message was to troll completionists and to put my name somewhere in Minecraft again. I hope it wasn't cracked by accident. It was obviously supposed to take more time than other phrases. Written during Time of Plague by Bach. Yes, lowercase because symmetry. All these worlds are yours except Europa. Use them together, use them in peace. Europa, the moon, sold separately. This may just be the most interesting Minecraft Easter egg yet. The process was some Cicada 3301 type stuff, and without the hints, I'm confident that this never would have been discovered. Thanks to Bach for putting your name in the game and creating a fascinating part of Minecraft history.
That's crazy.
And with that, we have finished the Minecraft Iceberg trilogy. I had a ton of fun making these videos, and I hope you enjoyed watching them. I'm still deciding what to do next, but I think that there were some items on these icebergs that have so much to them that they deserve a full-length video. I thought it might be interesting to start a series called Deep Dive, with videos such as a deep dive into Herobrine or a deep dive into the April Fool's updates. If this is interesting to you, let me know, or if you have other ideas, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching this video, and have a great day.
You too, good sir. You too. Thank you for creating 1, 2, and 3 icebergs of the Minecraft. That's crazy, though. So many secrets, and hidden little things that Minecraft has been hiding. So even for us to try to figure out, like, especially like the different worlds, what the heck, and messages, secret messages, especially with the secret audios and stuff like that. That's insane though. But who knows though? Maybe there's probably still more things out there, even more things to even discover. But who knows? Hopefully, maybe somebody will one day break the secret code of all time of Minecraft. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction of the Iceberg of all 3 parts. And I'll see you guys next time. It's been your boy JangleX. Take care and peace.
Well, I think you're pretty great.